Okay, hello, welcome back. This is our next video, video number 2 in the Gemara of Arba Avos, the first chapter of Bava, and we are up to the third line of the Gemara on Beis Amud Aleph. So find where it says Gimel Mem, that's Gemara, and we're on the third line. Actually, we are on the fifth line of the Gemara, and we had just discussed how. This is the color commentary in the background to the Gemara. We had just discussed how when it comes to Hilchos Shabbos, right, and where, again, our main objective is to look at Hilchos Nezikin. So we want to know when it comes to Nezikin, when it comes to my property damaging another person's property, I want to know if in the main categories of damaging, if the Toldos and the Avos are similar or dissimilar to each other. To answer our question, I'm going to look at the category of Shabbos first and then Tuma afterwards. We're in the middle of our investigation of Shabbos. Why do we look at Shabbos? So the answer is why we're looking at Hilchos Shabbos is because Hilchos Shabbos also has Avos and Toldos. And what we're hoping to see is if the Avos and Toldos of Hilchos Shabbos are similar or dissimilar, maybe we can then apply that to Hilchos Nezikin. That's what we're hoping for. So we have just seen the Gemara had stated, Toldosehen Chayotze Behen. The subcategories of Hilchos Shabbos are similar to the main categories of Hilchos Shabbos. And now the Gemara is going to elaborate as to how we know that they're similar or dissimilar, and how we know that they are similar, so we're going to look at how they are similar. Okay, here's what the Gemara says. Lo Shna, find your Gemara where it says Lo Shna. Lo Shna, key words for our parak. To know what that means there is no difference. Shna is like the shorish in modern day Hebrew, shinui of change or difference, and lo shna, there is no difference. Av chatas v'lo shna toda chatas. It doesn't make a difference if I violate a halacha in Hilchos Shabbos. It doesn't make a difference if I violate that halacha, whether that halacha was an av or whether that halacha, that prohibition, was a toda. It doesn't make a difference if I violate them both, and not knowing that that was a violation. Either way, makes no difference whether it was an av, makes no difference whether it was a tolda. Either way, I am going to be obligated to give a korban. That makes toldos and avos, when it comes to Shabbos, similar. Why? Because the punishment is similar. So since the punishment for an av and a tolda is similar, what can I say then? I can say that when it comes to Hilchos Shabbos, the avos and the toldos are similar. And so, same thing is true when I violate Shabbos on purpose. None of us obviously would do that, but if we did violate Shabbos on purpose, it doesn't make a difference. Look at the next line. Lo shna. Again, it makes no difference. Av skila, the lo shna tolda skila. It makes no difference whether I violated an av on purpose or whether I violated a tolda. The punishment is the same, and that is skila. I get stoned. Well, not me, but the person that violates Shabbos would get stoned for violating Shabbos on purpose. Since the punishment, once again, for violating an av and a tolda is the same, it makes no difference whether I did it on purpose or not on purpose, right? Whether I did an av, whether I did a tolda, it's all the same, which makes my toldos similar to my avos. Okay. The Gemara asks, very simple question. Hold on a second. If we're going to say that there's no difference between an av and a tolda, so then why call one an av and call one a tolda? There's no difference, obviously. And if there's no difference, then why call one an av and one call a tolda? This is a side question the Gemara is asking. Again, keep in mind, the main category of what we're asking at first is, are the avos and toldos of Nezikin similar? In order to answer the question of the avos and toldos of Nezikin are similar or not, we go to Hilchos Shabbos. Once we see Hilchos Shabbos that the toldos and the avos are similar, where we hope to go with this is to say, since the avos and the toldos of Hilchos Shabbos are similar, so too will they be by Nezikin. We haven't taken that step yet. All we've established is that the avos and the toldos of Shabbos are similar to that of Nezikin. What we're going to ask is a side question now. The Gemara is going to question this assumption that toldos and avos by Hilchos Shabbos are the same by asking a simple question. If they're the same, what's the difference between an Av and a Tolda? So what does the Gemara say? Nafkamina. Nafkamina is one of the most important words to know in Gemara. Nafkamina means there is a practical difference. What is this practical difference? So the practical difference is Di'ilu Avid Shtei Avos B'Had Hadadi. Let's imagine that I violated two different avos at the same time. Right? Woke up in the morning, totally forgot it was Shabbos, and I violated two different avos. Two of them. I violated two avos. Inami Shtei Toldos B'Had Hadadi, or I violated two toldos at the exact same time. Mikhayev Akol Chada V'Chada. I'm obligated on each one of them a separate chatas. Therefore, I have to know what's the difference between Av and I have to know what's an Av and what's a Tolda to know how many korbanos I'm going to be chayav. V'ilu avid Av v'Tolda didei. But if I violate an Av, the main category, and then at the same time I violate the subcategory of that Av, Tolda didei, its subcategory, Tolda didei, its subcategory. Okay, so then. Right, then what's the din? Lo mechayev ela chada. I'm only chayev one chatas. Let's review that. That could be a little complicated. Once again, what does the Gemara say? Inami. Right, if the ilu avid, we're going back, nafkamina, what's the difference between an av and a tolda if we say that the punishments are the same? The Gemara answers, look at the words, the ilu avid shtei avos b'hadei hadadei. If I didn't know, but I violated two avos at the same time without knowing that they were forbidden. Or I violated inami means or. A lot of times inami means also, but here we're going to use the word or. Okay, you could fit the words also in here, but it's better to use the words or. Inami shtei toldos b'hadei hadadei. Or I violated two toldos b'hadei hadadei at the exact same time. Mechayev, I'm guilty. In other words, I have to give a chatas. If this is by accident, I have to give a chatas. Akol chada v'chada. I have to give on each different tolda. I have to give a korban chatas, right? And on each av, I have to give a different korban. But let's say I violated v'ilu avid av v'tolda didei. Let's say I violated a main category and tolda didei. It's tolda. In other words, the subcategory of that exact av. Lo mechayev ela chada. Then I'm only obligated to give one korban chatas. Understood? Okay. Now the Gemara, again, with this side question, the Gemara is going to question the Gemara's assumption. The Gemara says, but hold on a second. That is true that there's a difference between avos and toldos if we assume that when you give a korban when you violate a tolda of an av and you violate the av and the tolda at the same time, that's true that you have to give one korban, but Rabbi Eliezer actually disagrees with that. And what does Rabbi Eliezer say? Ula Rabbi Eliezer, back in the Gemara. Ula Rabbi Eliezer, but according to Rabbi Eliezer, this is not going to work according to him. That explanation of the difference between an av and a tolda is not going to work. Right? Why? Because somebody that violates a tolda, okay, and its av, right, is going to have to give two separate karbanos. Rabbi is not into this idea that if I violate an av and its tolda, I only have to give one korban. Rabbi says that's not true. That's very not true. You have to give two separate karbanos. So if I have to give two separate karbanos, we're back at our original question, which is, what's the difference between an av and a tolda? Okay, says the Gemara, right? Amai karele to av, amai karele tolda. What's the purpose of calling it an av, and what's the purpose of calling it a tolda? So what does the Gemara answer? Again, to the challenge from Rabbi Eliezer, what does the Gemara say? Hach dahave b'mishkan chashiva karele av. What did we call avos? How did we come up with this list of 39? Any act which was necessary for the building of the Mishkan, that was included in the list of 39 avos. What didn't make the list? Hach dalo have b'mishkan chashiva karele tolda. But something that was not significant in the building of the Mishkan, that is called a tolda. That's a subcategory. Okay. So to answer for Rabbi Eliezer, how did Rabbi Eliezer answer this? That if it made the list of 39 if it was in the Mishkan, and it didn't if it wasn't. We'll stop, and that became a tolda if it was in the Mishkan. running out of time, so we'll stop here and we'll continue in the next video.